Just ahead on CTV News.
It's Tuesday, August 6th, Election Day in Prince George's County. I'm Byron Scott. We'll have the latest coming up.
It's National Night Out, and law enforcement are getting together with the community all over the county. Find out why coming up on CTV News.
Plus, a new four-star recruit joins UMD football. Those stories and more coming up next on CTV News.
Good evening and happy Tuesday. This is CTV News for August 6th. I'm Michaela Newton. Thanks so much for joining us. And it's a big day here as we celebrate Special Election Day. Voters have been making their way to the polls since 7 a.m. this morning, and they've got until 8 p.m. tonight to cast their ballots. Our own Byron Scott has been in the community chatting with voters and candidates to capture the excitement of the day.
Flags fly high at Baltimore Elementary School in Springdale, while a small but steady stream of voters head to the polls to make their voices heard.
We have to have someone in that position that's experienced, that know what they can do, that know this county, and that's how I voted.
12 candidates, 8 Democrats and 4 Republicans, are vying for the at-large seat vacated by Mel Franklin in June in the wake of an embezzlement scandal.
I'm here to vote.
Theo Ayumbo is also one of the candidates. He was at Baltimore Elementary this morning.
We have to understand that this is a special election. Why is it a special election? It's a special election because we chose the wrong people. So our county is in urgent need of change. We can't be electing the same people over and over and expecting different results.
Lori Rogers did her part today to get out the votes.
I live at Collington. It's a senior living facility on Lotsford Road. And many of our people are not able to get out to vote and don't necessarily trust the U.S. mail. And they want their ballots dropped off.
Tall Oaks Vocational High School in Bowie is one of 9 voting centers in the county. There are also 39 drop boxes, each under the watchful eye of a camera.
I think we need someone who is very informed about what is happening in the county and just ensures that voters, that all citizens are educated and that they can count on that person to vote in their best interests.
Tamara Davis Brown was another of the candidates making a last-minute pitch to the voters.
Right about now is touching every voter that comes here today to vote, to tell them about me, simply because I don't have special interest money backing me, and so I have to talk to every voter personally.
I think the most important thing is to remind people today is a day to vote. You know, your vote is your voice.
Again, polls close tonight at 8 o'clock. The winner on the Democratic ticket and the GOP ticket will face each other in the fall. In Springdale, Byron Scott, CTV News.
All right, Byron, thanks so much. And the pick is in. Vice President Kamala Harris picks Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate and hopes to strengthen the Democratic ticket in Midwestern states. Now, Walz is a military veteran and union supporter who helped enact an ambitious Democratic agenda for his state, including sweeping protections for abortion rights and generous aid to families. Now, Harris will introduce Walz at a Philadelphia rally tonight. And Prince George's police are investigating a fatal stabbing that occurred late last night. Officers found a man unresponsive outside of a business at 11:05 p.m. near Rhode Island and Baltimore Avenue. The man was suffering from stab wounds and pronounced dead at the scene. Now, anyone with information is asked to contact police at 1-866-411-TIPS. Meanwhile, a man is dead after a shooting near Hyattsville over the weekend. 43-year-old David Johnson was found dead soon after midnight on August 3rd after police responded to Timber Creek Terrace for a shooting. Johnson was found in an apartment building suffering from gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead on the scene. Investigators are looking for suspects and motives in this case, and up to $25,000 is being offered for any information leading to an arrest. Meanwhile, the state cannot prevent gun owners from carrying their weapons in bars near public demonstrations or on private property without permission. But a recent ruling has clarified where firearms can be restricted. In a significant 3-page order, U.S. District Judge George L. Russell III upheld the state's authority to ban guns in a variety of sensitive locations. This includes amusement parks, casinos, state parks, museums, schools, stadiums, and government buildings, among others. Well, tensions are running high in our community as residents express outrage over controversial zoning law that was recently passed by the county council. Now those passionate voices are taking their fight to the next level by heading to court. Katara Jones reports outside the Wayne Curry County Administration Building with the latest on this developing story.
That's right. Several civic organizations and concerned citizens do not like a recent zoning bill that was approved by the county council back in July. That zoning bill is known as CB 15-2024, and it was passed by the county council and is expected to go into effect on September 3rd. Now, to stop this from happening, those same groups, which include the Sierra Club, a civic organization, and dozens of concerned citizens, have filed a petition for a judicial review of CB 15-2024. These groups say CB 15-2024 is loaded with what they are calling damaging amendments. One amendment that these groups have an issue with would allow developers to build townhomes or apartments on commercial general office zone properties without an assessment done on the impact of those new developments on the local community and the environment. Now, community activist Greg Smith, who lives in Hyattsville but is also a part of this legal challenge, says former county council at-large member Mel Franklin put forth some of the more damaging amendments.
Another one is the second amendment that Mel Franklin put in that would remove the requirement that what are called detailed site plans, which are a very important stage of review by the planning board and the council, and an opportunity for the public, again, to have a say. He put in an amendment that removes the requirement that a detailed site plan be consistent with the county's general plan, which is called Plan 2035, or conform to local master plans, or they're also called sector plans, or the county's other plans. There was also a real problem with these. Some of these amendments were sort of amendments by ambush. I mean, they were presented that day in the committee. We hadn't seen the amendments going into the committee session.
Smith also says that County Council Chair Jolene Ivey, Vice Chair Sidney Harrison, and at-large member Calvin Hawkins were some of the biggest champions of these, quote, damaging amendments. Katara Jones, CTV News.
All right, Katara, thanks so much. And again, this zoning bill, which has been passed by the county council, is expected to go into effect on September 3rd. And you're watching CTV News. Still to come, with motor vehicle accidents happening every day, we're reminding you of the importance of sharing the road. We'll be right back.
This is the real cost when you don't move over for a vehicle that is stopped on the side of the road. I'm Bryce Parker. We have more coming up on CTV News.
You gotta believe without seeing. You gotta keep going, keep breathing. When you face a day that feels like you're gonna
Welcome back. In tech news tonight, Google has lost a major antitrust lawsuit. A judge ruled that Google illegally abused its monopoly power to ensure that its search engine maintained dominance, and a 10-week trial put the U.S. Justice Department against the big tech company. But after the ruling, the judge scheduled a hearing to determine the type of changes or penalties that should be imposed on Google and to create a more competitive search engine landscape. Now, Google's president of global affairs shared in a statement that they plan to appeal. That hearing is set for September 6th. And failing to move over for emergency vehicles or cars parked on the side of the road can come with a staggering price, and it's a cost that could change lives forever. Bryce Parker is in Upper Marlboro with the details on this critical issue.
300. That is the number of drivers who are killed annually across the United States when they are trying to leave, approach, or render aid to a vehicle that is stopped on the side of the road. Now, it's been a law in our country since 1994 that when you see emergency vehicles approach, you need to move over and get out of their way. But when traveling our roadways, we still see drivers who are speeding in front of or behind emergency vehicles when other drivers have moved along the way. And their reckless driving has led to wreckage in other Maryland drivers' lives. In 2022, Maryland extended this law to all vehicles who are on the side of the road in hazardous situations. And the consequences of the law do not just stop there. You can be fined or charged with anything from a misdemeanor and a $110 fine to a $750 fine and 3 points on your license if your actions result in serious injury or death of another motorist. Now, drivers are instructed to slow down, move over, or even stop their vehicle when it's appropriate to keep a bad situation from escalating to a tragedy. Now, the next time you're driving and you see hazard lights, road flares, or an emergency vehicle coming, think twice about what it might cost your wallet or cost another driver's life. From Upper Marlboro, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
All right, Bryce, thanks so much. Well, the first provision of Maryland's move-over law was put into place in 2010. Well, the ongoing issue of ATM robberies and tampering in the county continues this weekend. 2 ATMs in Greenbelt were found to have pieces of metal glued over the slot cash is withdrawn from. The first was found at 7:30 Saturday evening at a Bank of America off Hanover Parkway in Greenbelt. Another ATM at Capital One Bank at Beltway Plaza was also tampered with. And Greenbelt police have not yet discovered a motive for the actions, but a spokesperson said it could be done as a distraction for customers while another crime is about to take place. Well, it's a new day for the Commanders, new ownership, new quarterbacks, and new naming rights for the Landover Stadium that has been their home since the late 90s. As of this season, FedEx will no longer have the naming rights to the stadium, and the FedEx signs have been removed, but they also have not yet been replaced. Now, with just over 2 weeks before the Commanders play their first game at Commanders Field, it looks like the franchise will move forward without a naming rights sponsor. And FedEx was contracted to be the Commanders' naming rights sponsor through 2026, but in February, the Commanders announced FedEx had pulled out of the deal 2 years early. Well, today marks a yearly tradition that fosters connections and builds trust between residents and local law enforcement. It's all about creating bonds with the very people dedicated to keeping us safe. Mariah Jalad joins us to kick off the festivities in Bowie.
Well, we're kicking off National Night Out here at Cameron Grove in Bowie. Law enforcement is here talking with the community to raise awareness about crime prevention. You know, these are important conversations to be had, especially here in Prince George's County, where we know crime, especially violent crime, has been on the rise, and law enforcement says there's still work to be done.
So as we start to see a surge in crime, you want to make sure that law enforcement, or men or women in uniform, can't do it alone. We do this together. We do this as partners. We try to make sure that everybody is taken care of. As we talk about wraparound services and just being there for people, we really want to talk about those partnerships.
It's very important that we have nights such as this because it enhances communication between the community and law enforcement. I think that's actually the key to dispelling all the myths about police force, and on the other side, police will be less likely to respond too aggressively if they've had a chance to interact with the community.
The scene is just lovely. I enjoy being with the community as a whole. Everyone come out just to have a good time, fellowship.
Law enforcement will be hosting the get-togethers all evening, all over the county. So to find the location that's closest to you, you can check it out on the Prince George's County Police blog. From Bowie, I'm Mariah Jalad, CTV News.
Looks like a lot of fun, Mariah. Thanks so much. And you can find all those county locations at pgpolice.blogspot.com. And still to come on CTV News, it's Tuesday, so it's time for another Money Matters segment. Today, our financial expert, Ernest Burley, is talking insurance and coverage that you might have missed. Don't move.
licensed drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
You quit smoking and thought, that's that. But here's the thing about lung cancer. By the time you see the symptoms, it could be too late. But now, there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early when it's more curable. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
It's Tuesday, so it's time for another Money Matters segment. With everything going on in this world, this unpredictable world, you never know that what may happen to your home or your car or other valuables you've worked hard for. So today our financial expert, Ernest Burley, is here to talk about some of the underlooked aspects of insurance. So Ernest, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
All right, so you talk about insurance is your PAL or your PAL. Tell me exactly what that means.
PAL stands for Protects Assets and Lifestyle. Okay. So insurance is really your pal, because imagine the world without insurance. Your car gets stolen or get into an accident, your house burns down, you need a surgical procedure, someone passes. All of this is insurance. So insurance is integral to society. So it is your pal. It protects assets and lifestyle.
Okay, and then go into depth about paying premiums for this protection. So how is it your pal?
Yeah, so that's another, I'm big on acronyms. So this one is you pay a little to protect a lot, okay. PALPL. So I know people complain about their premiums all the time. Hey, I'm paying $200 a month for auto insurance, but look at what it's protecting, right? It protects your vehicle, the damage you cause to someone else's vehicle, injuries to people dying as a result of an auto accident, your homeowner's policy. So there's a lot of coverage, a lot of exposure for insurance companies for the premium that you think is a lot, but it's not a lot when you can look at what they potentially will pay out.
And then what factors determine my insurance premiums?
Well, everyone's different, right? So it depends on what type of insurance also. So auto insurance, your age, your driving record, the type of vehicle you drive, how you're using the vehicle. Homeowners insurance is different, right? Life insurance, age, your health, what you do as an occupation. So it depends on the type of insurance as to what the criteria is for the premium.
And then what about my home premiums?
Yeah, the home premiums, it does not include the land. A lot of people think it includes the land. So it's mainly the cost to reconstruct the house, the sticks and stones, that's what I call it, to rebuild the house. And also the claim history of the person. And also credit rating is going in. So credit can affect your auto insurance premiums and your homeowner's insurance premium. If you have challenged credit, you're probably going to have a higher premium.
And then what about the cost of the land? Is that also included in home coverage?
Right, so that's a big mistake. A lot of people, they pay for insurance. So the value of your house is like the actual house itself, the land, and the desirability of the area. Insurance is only concerned with the house. That's all they're insuring. So if the house burns down, the land is still there. So don't over-insure your house. Don't let the insurance rep insure your house for $1 million when it's only going to cost $600,000 or $700,000 to rebuild the house because you're over-insuring. Don't insure the land.
Gotcha. And what about auto liability limits should I carry on my vehicle?
Yeah, I recommend the lowest 100, 300, 100. So it's called a split limit. So $100,000 per person for bodily injury, $300,000 per accident. So if it's more than one person you injure, and $100,000 for property damage liability. Those are the lowest limits I recommend. That will cover most situations you'll get yourself into, even though claims get bigger than that sometimes. And I recommend also an umbrella over and on top of that to give you more PAL coverage, protecting your assets and lifestyle.
And then what exactly is an umbrella policy? What does that mean?
It's extra liability coverage, at least $1 million of extra liability coverage over and above your underlying auto insurance premiums, your auto insurance coverage, homeowners coverage, rental property. So it gives you excess liability coverage for only $200-300 a year normally. It's very inexpensive for that additional protection to protect your assets and lifestyle.
Gotcha. And lastly, what are some coverages that people oftentimes forget about that they should have?
It depends on homeowners policies. Normally people forget to add on sewer and drain backup coverage. That's excluded in all homeowners policies. So raw sewage backing up into your home. Also, sometimes people have expensive jewelry, expensive furs. Policies normally have a limit on that type of stuff. Business owners, some business owners don't have coverage at all, which is kind of crazy. So you need to have business coverage, but then each business has its own endorsements it should have too. So a contractor versus a florist. So you want to make sure you have the proper protection based on the type of business you have.
Awesome. Mr. Burley, thanks so much for joining us.
Sounds
I really
good.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, individuals should contact their own financial professionals and attorneys to help answer questions about specific situations or needs before taking any action based on this information. And after the break, Simon Buggs gives us our Tuesday sports page. He takes us into the world of volleyball and football when we return.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Jason, let's go see your room.
No, that's not right. How was it? Is it good?
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right, everyone, we begin your Tuesday sports page with some volleyball news as the season for the Bowie State volleyball squad is getting closer and closer. The Lady Bulldogs struggled last season, going 6-26 and missed out on the playoffs. But with the added talent as well as experience the team now has, head coach Eric Portier, who is expecting his team to bounce back this season.
I'm looking for great things from my team this year. Last year I brought in 14 freshmen. They're all sophomores. They got a year under their belt, and so I'm expecting great things from them. I have 4 transfers from other universities coming in. They're older, and they've played 2-3 years, so I'm looking for leadership from them, and hopefully we can get to the conference semifinals this year, which is being held here on our campus. Last year, it was held here, and we had to work. So my players, I don't want to be working this year. I want to be playing. So hopefully that's something they aspire to.
The Lady Bulldogs open up the season against Shepherd University on September 6th. Moving on to college football, the Terps have talent at all positions, but one position that seems to stand out more than some is defensive back. The program has had multiple players at that position get drafted or signed to an NFL team over the years. Head coach Mike Loxley spoke recently and talked about why players at that position have success and are able to go to the next level.
We've got young players that come here with a pro mentality. Like, I know some of y'all get mad when they say, oh, college is about the academics, not well, you know what? It's my job to make sure the academics are taken serious. Just like as a parent, it's your job to make sure your kids understand what's important. But I'm gonna let these guys be pros before they're pros, meaning how they recover. And the fact that we have the modalities and the resources to help us stay healthy, which is important. How they prepare for games, what type of work they got to put in. Some of the stuff has been passed down, and that's what's happened in the quarterback room for these guys, but it's also happened in that DB room, like you alluded to.
The Terps will begin their season at home versus UConn on August 31st. Sticking with Terps football, the team secured another high-level prospect as four-star offensive lineman Jalen Gilchrist out of Salem High School has committed to playing for Maryland. The Virginia native is the Terps' highest-ranked recruit since Jayshawn Barham back in 2022. At 6'5" and nearly 300 pounds, Gilchrist is the number 5 ranked interior lineman in the country. He's also ranked in the top 100 of the 2025 class. Gilchrist also received offers from Alabama, Penn State, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. And finally, the Bowie Baysox will be in action tonight. The team will match up against the Harrisburg Senators at 6:35. CTV Sports will be at the game and will provide you with highlights tomorrow. And that wraps up your Tuesday Sports page.
All right, Simon, thanks so much. Well, let's get a final look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, we have a 50% chance of rain. Wednesday, we're going to have a high of 84, and that rain chance will pick up to 70%. Thursday, more rain is on the way, and thunderstorms are expected. We'll have a high of 84 and a low of 71. And Friday, you guessed it, more rain. We're going to reach a high of 83, and you can expect those showers after 2 p.m. And before we go, let's take a look at our community calendar. Thursday night, Game Castle in College Park is hosting Board Game Night. Gather around the table to partake in one of the dozens of games that Game Castle stocks in its free demo cabinet, or bring your own. Game night starts at 4:30 and ends at 9:30. But for more information, you can contact 301-477-3524. And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Good night.
Have a good night.
If love were a threshold, we could cross every ocean to understand whale song and coral, crab and plankton. If love were strawberries and wheat, we could shape it into a sweetheart dessert, passing our lips as if we had only tasted earth once. And if love were hanging from the branches of the pine and palm, acacia and fir, we could be indivisible from the tiger, the turtle, the bison and birds. If only our love were larger than wildfire and faster to take root. If only our love were more swift than the eye of the hurricane and strong enough to break storm surge. Here is the boldness of our love in one hand, our strength against what we might lose in the other. Can we love more? Yes. yes, yes.